Hi guys, welcome you all to my YouTube channel. In this particular video, I'm going to discuss about what are the things in the next weeks, what are the events which are going to take place in the next week you need to keep your eye on. First of all, the next week is going to be really volatile. Many of the experts has already said that, and I personally also think that there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot more movement will take place in the market. So we'll discuss each and every factor and I will give you each and every insight. So let's get started without further ado. So first of all, we'll discuss about the India, what are the updates in India which are going to, what are the events which are going to take place in India which are going to affect the stock market, Indian stock market. Then we'll discuss about the European events and we'll also discuss about the USA events. And this particular video is really important, so watch it till the end. Start with India only. Okay, so first of all, in India, the monetary policy meeting, the RBI monetary policy meeting or the MPS monetary policy meeting is going to take place, and the outcome of this meeting will be announced on Feb of 9. Now this particular outcome can be like they might say that we are going to increase the repo rate by 0.25% or 0.5%. Now you might also see in many of the articles it is written like 0.20 or 25 basic points or 50 basic points. It means that 0.25% or 0.5%. Okay, so don't get confused by the BPS which is written there. Okay, and this is one of the most important thing, that they might also consider the interest rate hike. So if RBI consider the interest rate hike, it will not be good for the stock market, it will not be in the favor of the stock market. So do watch this particular meeting, do understand, read a lot of articles about this particular meeting to understand in a much better way. And there is a mixed opinion in the experts actually. Many of the experts are saying that RBI might consider the interest rate hike by 0.25% or 0.5%. Many of the experts are saying they might not do it. So it's completely, there's a lot of actually confusion, there's a lot of different kind of opinions. So it's actually we will only get to know on the Feb of 9, and it's really important meeting. Market will react on this particular thing, so do consider this particular meeting. The next thing is basically the result. We are into the last phase of the Q3 results, so this is also very much important. Some of the big companies like Bharti Airtel or Divis Laboratories or basically Dr. Lal Path Lab and many of the other big companies are going to announce the result. CAMS is going to announce the result. Nykaa is going to announce the result. After IPO is going to be their first result, and if you just look at Nykaa has gone really down, and now it's going to be really important result. If this result is not that great, then you might see again much more drop into the Nykaa, because Nykaa is actually at a really high valuation. So this particular meeting, these particular results are also going to be very much important, so do watch these particular results. Also, we are into the last phase of the results, and some of the big companies, even Mahindra are going to announce the result. Motor Corp is going to come up with the results, so do keep your eye on the results as well. Another thing is the IIP data is going to be announced, the Indian industrial production data, and this particular data actually tells us the mining, electricity and manufacturing sector, how this particular sectors has performed. If you want to know about more about this particular data, you can definitely read one article I have given in the description. This particular data is basically watched by Ministry of Finance, by RBI, many of the financial analysts, many of the private companies. So this data is again going to be very much important, is going to be very much crucial. So this particular data is also going to be going to be announced on, I guess, of Feb of 9, Feb of 11 or Feb of 10. This particular data will be announced. Now let's move to Europe. So in Europe there is UK, United Kingdom. And in United Kingdom, like in India, we are RBI. In USA, there is Federal Reserve. In the same way, the Central Bank of UK is Bank of England. The Bank of England meeting was done, like as I said, that there's a meeting which is going to take place of RBI now, and many times in these meetings there's a talk about inflation. Okay, because the main thing the central bank need to do is to control the inflation, is to keep the unemployment in control. This is the major job of these particular central banks, to basically maintain the proper economic condition in the country. Okay, that is their major job, right? So inflation is one of the major point right now, one of the major thing to discuss, and many times it has been seen that they either discuss that whether we should consider the interest rate hike or whether we should not consider the interest rate hike, and then the voting is done and accordingly decision is taken. This time the voting was done, how much interest rate hike should be done, whether it should be 0.5% or 0.75%, and 4 out of 9 people voted for 0.75% interest rate hike, and 5 out of 9 people considered basically voted for 0.5% interest rate hike. So 0.5% interest rate hike was announced by Bank of England, which is the central bank. So that definitely you can see the kind of inflation is out there. The latest inflation in UK is basically 5.4%, which is highest in last 30 years. So definitely inflation is lot. the food and energy prices are increasing continuously in Europe, in UK as well. So definitely the situation is not that great. Inflation is really a major problem in UK. So definitely they are considering the interest rate hike. And I would like to tell you that this is the second consecutive meeting, basically दो लगातार मीटिंग में interest rate hike has been announced. So that is not a good sign. Okay, now, and I would like to tell you that they have announced in last two consecutive meeting they have announced the interest rate hike. मतलब लगातार दो मीटिंग में interest rate hike announce किया है, and this is not a good sign. This kind of situation जिसमें दो लगातार मीटिंग में interest rate hike was kind of announced happened way back in 2004. 2004 के बाद आज इस बार पहली बार हो रहा है जब they have considered two interest rate hike in the two consecutive meetings. So definitely it's not a good news for the market. Bank of England also announced that they are going to do the selling of bond which they purchased in COVID time to basically support the economy. So now they are going to sell that particular bonds as well. So selling of bonds is also going to take place. So in all the liquidity पैसा market से निकल रहा है. That is simple thing you need to understand. Okay, and this is a bit of kind of a bearish news for the market. Now let's move to Europe. After Brexit, definitely UK is not a part of European Union. European Union have their own central bank. The European Union has a European Central Bank. Okay, that is what ECB. Okay, they have European Central Bank. President of ECB, she sounded very much hawkish about the market. She sounded much more hawkish about inflation. She said that we might consider the interest rate hike in March. We might not consider now. We are not considering the interest rate hike now, but we will consider the interest rate hike in the March. So this is really important because inflation in Europe as well is way too much. In European Union, the inflation is actually 5.1%, which is double the range. Basically, every European Union need to maintain the inflation in 2.5% to 3%. It has gone way out of limit. Actually, it has doubled, and it has really gone out of their limit. So inflation is major problem in European Union as well. And in European Union, the biggest economy is Germany. And in Germany, the inflation is 5.1%, which is again way too much for Germany. And the one thing which is happening because of this is basically, and because of the high inflation, many of the goods and service cost has gone up, and as a result of which people buying power has certainly gone down, and that is really crucial. People are not able to purchase a lot of goods and services, and the buying has certainly gone down. So that is one of the major issue in European Union as well, and in Germany as well. So inflation in Europe in all is really high. So now let's move to USA. In USA, there was one of the data which was announced, was a labor data which was announced, and in that particular data, unemployment is low, and at the same time, unemployment is low, and actually the salary of the people has increased. These two things are not good because these two things clearly indicate that unemployment is not an issue at all, and Fed job is to control the unemployment, to keep the unemployment low, and to keep the inflation in the bracket of 2 to 3%. That is their major job. They take all the decision keeping these two things in mind. Now, unemployment is no more a problem because if you just look at their job data, look at their labor data, it clearly showing that unemployment is going down. It has continuously been going down. At the same time, so job market is no more an issue. The economy is well in a good position. If we just consider this particular data, at the same time, the wage of the people, the salary of the people is increasing. That is also not good because if the salary of the people is continuously increasing, this will lead to more money into the hands of people. Inflation is already there, and if there's more money in the hands of people will purchase more, people will have more money, and as a result of which ज़्यादा खर्चा करेंगे लोग, and if people will buy more, people will purchase more, then definitely then again their inflation will increase. That is simple thing, this is a kind of a circle which works where people have more money, people will spend more. When people spend more, the cost of goods and services increases, and the cost of goods and service increases. That is one of the things which is happening in US right now. Inflation is at 7%. So this was the data which was released which showed that unemployment is not a problem at all right now. And if you want to get much more relevance about what I said now, you can watch this particular video in which I have discussed all these things. Now let's move to another part. This particular week is very much crucial because in this particular week, CPI inflation data of US is going to be announced, and this is really important on Feb of 10. And this particular data is really important because Jerome Powell in the last meeting which happened on Jan of 26 of 2022, in which he said that that inflation is even worse, and this was really bearish for the market. This was really a kind of a statement which took the stock market down. So definitely he said that inflation is way worse than before, and if it's really worse, okay, the CPI inflation data will actually tell us that is it really worse than before. If it's really worse, then definitely market will react accordingly. So CPI inflation data of on Feb of 10 is very much crucial. Do keep your eye on this particular data. Now, if you want to understand more about the complete detailed video about what happened in USA, what Fed did from 2020 to what is going to be the future, what are the decisions going to be taken place, I'll highly recommend you to go and watch this particular video. I made this video in detail. I've discussed each and everything. Let's come down to South America. In South America, we have Brazil. So Brazil has recently announced 1.5% interest rate hike. Okay, emerging country. Brazil is an emerging market, India is an emerging market, and Brazil has already announced the interest rate hike of 1.5%. Along with that, in this week, Russia might also consider interest rate hike of 1%. So if you just look at each and every market, there's a continuous inflation, and each and every markets are considering the interest rate hike. Fed has already announced 3 interest rate hike, and they might even consider 5 interest rate hike. European Union is saying we might consider interest rate hike. Bank of England has considered the interest rate hike. Brazil has considered interest rate hike, and Russia might also consider 1% interest rate hike. And that's why I said that India, there's a high chance that India might also consider, RBI might also consider the interest rate hike, because all the other counterparts are considering the interest rate hike. So that's why this particular week is going to be very much important, because market react negatively because their paisa nikalta hai market se, loans get much more expensive. That is definitely not reacted positively from the market. And all the global situation which I talked about, where USA, this USA CPI inflation data, or Bank of England, or Europe, these people actually put these are the people who actually put the money into the market. These are the locations from where the FII money come into the Indian market. So result of which these other economies are really important. If you just look at in the last week, there was 7,700 crore FII selling took place. Okay, now let's move to the next part, is the crude oil price. Crude oil price is continuously increasing. OPEC countries, basically this is a group of countries which actually produce the oil, is certainly not able to not able to provide that much amount of oil which is required. Basically they are not able to comply with the demand, as a result of which crude oil price is continuously increasing. In the last week, the crude oil price was $85 a barrel. Now if this crude oil price, I read one of the expert view that if this crude oil price goes to $100 a barrel, it is not going to be good for the stock market, because man, if you just look at, crude oil is used for as a raw material in many of the industries. Crude oil is used for the transportation, so this increase the raw material cost, this increase the transportation cost, and that's definitely not good for the stock market. That's definitely not good for the business environment, not good for the businesses. So keep your eye on the crude oil price as well. Just search a crude oil and you will get all the information. Go in the news station and you will get each and every information about the same. So these are some of the updates you need to keep your eye on. Now I'm not a big I'm not a big of in terms of technical analysis. I like to read news. I like to give opinion in terms of this particular news. So if you just look at technical analysis, there is a crucial level which is about 17,500, around that particular level. If the market goes below that particular level, you might see the bearish trend in the market. So that is something you need to understand, that 17,500 level is very much crucial. And there is one expert view I read, is that he said that if the market, if the Nifty goes above 17,800, then only we can say that we have actually gone out of the bearish trend. Until that time, we can't say that we have gone out of the bearish trend, and 17,500 level is very much crucial. This was it from this particular video. If you like the video, like it, subscribe to my channel and share with your friends. Thank you very much.